Most people are going to pick the wrong class in Marathon, and not because Bungie made bad classes, but because each runner shell is designed to punish the wrong type of player. So in this video, I'm going to break down every runner shell Bungie has revealed, how each one actually works, the type of player that thrives with it, and just as important, why certain shells quietly ruin people's runs. And near the end, I'm going to give you a couple of bonus pieces that I think you'll actually like a lot. Let's start by understanding how classes actually function in Marathon, because this is where most people already get it wrong. In Marathon, traditional classes are really non-existent. There's no tank, no healer, no DPS triangle. Instead, Bungie is using something called runner shells. Each shell is a biosynthetic body, meaning it's really not yours, and it comes with the following. One prime ability, you can think of this as your ultimate level impact. One tactical ability, your main combat button, and then 2 traits, which are passive or situational bonuses. The important part here is that your shell, well, it's just really the foundation. Power in Marathon comes from build crafting, and you'll do this through things called cores and implants. Now, cores are shell-specific modifiers, and implants are shared across all runner shells. That's why you're going to find that 2 players running the same shell can really feel completely different in Marathon. Keep this in mind, especially when I talk about the movement and loot-focused classes a little bit later. Now, let's break down every shell. First up, let's talk about the Destroyer. This is really for players who want to start fights, not react to them. It's honestly the most straightforward shell in Marathon, and that's kind of, I think, why people are going to mess it up. Let's take a look at the confirmed abilities for the Destroyer runner shell. Your prime ability is called Search and Destroy. It has homing shoulder missiles that target enemies you've dealt sustained damage to. Your tactical ability is called Riot Barricade. This is a forward-facing energy shield used to block damage and take space, and I think it's one of the coolest ones in the game. And then your traits for Destroyer are going to be Thruster Dash and Tactical Sprint. Mobility tools that really trade speed for heat generation, which we'll talk about heat generation, that's really your stamina management. The Destroyer is really best when you leverage it to be aggressive and use it across dangerous space. When you're running the shell, you're going to want to be the one that walks through sight lines so that your team doesn't really have to, and thanks to your Riot Barricade, your Thruster Dash, and your Tactical Sprint, that becomes easier. I do think people are going to struggle with Destroyer because if they try to play it as a solo hero, that's not going to work. To run this class, you really need discipline, not ego. Your goal with this runner shell is to use your Riot Barricade to cross, you want to shield teammates who are trying to revive each other, use your agility to really get additional angles. Your prime ability, Search and Destroy, in my opinion, is perfect to put additional pressure on enemies that are looking to rush you. Your best synergies when you're running this Destroyer are going to be with Triage, who will keep your push alive, and Recon, who will help you really understand when to push safely. This is a strong class to run, but it's not forgiving. You need to play smart, or you're going to really find yourself costing your team, your lives, and your loot. The Assassin class in Marathon is one that people are really going to feel like it's meant for them. But it's really not. This is the class that's for players who win by outsmarting, and not for players that panic or are hyper-aggressive. Let's take a look at the confirmed abilities for the Assassin shell, and you might kind of get the picture I'm painting. Your prime ability as the Assassin is called Smoke Screen. It is deployable smoke that blocks vision and disrupts the optics of the opposing team. Your tactical is called Active Camo. It's basically temporary invisibility that breaks when you perform an action like shoot a gun, heal, etc. And your traits are going to be Shadow Dive and Shroud. You can think of this as smoke deployment on impact and invisibility when in smoke. These are unbelievably good. And where the Assassin shell excels is in taking information away from other players. It's really going to allow you to control when a fight happens and when it ends. If you panic shoot, this class is going to collapse almost instantly. It's built around being patient and punishing impatience from enemies more than any other shell in the game. And when you're running the Assassin shell, your goal is to smoke first, reposition with your invisibility, and take a guaranteed shot and then disappear before the traits that you can reposition, and your team can kind of fill in some of those shots from there. A smart Assassin player will focus on confusing the opposing team, generating panic for them, but also being incredibly patient enough to pick off the straggler in a group as they wait in the shadows. The best synergies in running as the Assassin, in my opinion, will be Recon, as they're going to feed you plenty of intel about where people are, and Thief, which will capitalize on the chaos. To really be a great Assassin in Marathon, you're going to need to love psychological pressure more than just getting into gunfights for the sake of getting into gunfights. If you play this right, this class is incredibly lethal, but it's not going to be for everybody. If you're digging this video so far, consider subscribing. Look, I'm working my way towards 1,000 subs in this channel, and hey, it's free to sub. And if you don't sub, then you might just get thirsted immediately in Marathon the first time you play. You've already heard me reference the Recon class a few times, and that's because it's incredibly important. It may not win you fights just outright, but it will absolutely decide them. And what I mean by that is that this is a class that's built for IGLs, or in-game leads, and players that are comfortable calling the shots based on the information they gather. The more you know before and during a fight, the more likely you're going to be to succeed in Marathon, and really any shooter for that right. Let's look at the confirmed abilities for Recon. Your prime ability is called Echo Pulse. It has sonar pings revealing players, AI, and invisible targets. Your tactical is a tracker drone, a mobile drone that hunts and applies overheat pressure. Again, overheat pressure is going to be critical because that is your stamina in the game, so you can take away a lot of the stamina from people. And then for your traits, you have Awareness and Stalker Protocol. This is going to alert you when you're pinged and leaves trails of red footprints after shield breaks on players, which again is a fantastic thing to have. Recon's biggest strength is really giving your team permission to make a smart push. Being able to know what you're dealing with before you head into a fight allows you to dramatically increase your chances of survival. But getting information for the sake of getting it won't really help you. If you don't act upon the information or leverage being an IGL with the Recon class, it's basically useless. If you're going to run as Recon, you want to make sure that you pulse before rotations. You want to leverage your drone to force movement and really push immediately after shield breaks. The best synergies for this class will be the Destroyer, allowing for clean entries and crowd control, along with the Assassin for precision ambushes and creating chaos with the smoke, while you have all the intel to figure out where these people are. The most simple way to put it is that Recon is the thinking player's shell, but it's also going to rely on you to communicate to truly dominate within a marathon. If you aren't talking, you aren't winning with this class. Marathon is not a movement shooter, but movement is still going to be important in the game. The players who love chaos and performing a high amount of actions are going to love the Vandal runner shell. And if you're somebody who has a knack for using movement to disorient your enemies, you really may have found your favorite class here. It's a rundown on the abilities here will feel right at home for a lot of you guys. The prime ability is called Amplify. It boosts your movement speed, your handling, and your heat efficiency. Your tactical ability is called Disruptor, which has a chargeable energy blast with knockback capabilities. You can actually use this to jump as well, but you can also just throw enemies around too with it. And for your traits, you're going to have Microjets and Power Slide. Think of this as double jumps and extended slides at the cost of heat. I think what's really interesting with the Vandal class is that Bungie has mentioned that there are mobility-focused cores for Vandal, including jump enhancements and movement chaining. Finding these really feels essential to maximizing how strong this class really can be. The biggest struggle that players are going to have with this class, however, is mismanaging your heat. If you aren't really watching your heat or leveraging your prime ability intelligently, I think you run the risk of having your movement go from being a disruptor to being a sitting duck. Players running as Vandal are going to want to use their movement to disrupt positioning, use Amplify to force enemy players to kind of chase and separate a little bit, and then leverage your Disruptor Blast to really force players into a panic. The best synergies for this class, in my opinion, are going to be Destroyer. You've heard Destroyer a lot. I think it's a very strong class. But I think it'll anchor fights when you focus on positioning, and Thief when you combine it with Vandal's movement. I just think that is chaos that is just going to be very tough to deal with. And speaking of Thief, let's dive into why this is quietly one of the strongest runner shells in Marathon. Thief is really a runner shell that's focused around maximizing your looting more than dominating gunfights. It's a great class for players that like to plan routes and focus on the economy of the loot in the game. And the abilities really scream to that. Your prime ability is called a pickpocket drone. You can deploy a remote-controlled origami butterfly drone that can use a mechanical whip to knock out loot of players and AI that it hits, and then collect the items that they drop. What's interesting though, it has a double purpose. You can actually use it also for Recon, flying it around, pinging enemies for your squad to see. The tactical is a grapple, so it shoots a dart from your forearm that unfolds into a propeller that pulls you along, allowing you to swing to a new spot. So unlike a traditional grapple that has to be attached to something, this will unfold again its own propeller, so you can just shoot it into the sky and then use it to launch yourself somewhere from basically anywhere. And for your traits, you have X-ray visor and backpack scaling bonus. So you can flip down your visor to see containers through walls, along with the rarity of the loot, which is a huge one, and you can highlight enemies that are just in your line of sight. This has been a little bit controversial, but I think it's important to mention again that this is highlighting enemies that are solely in your line of sight. Also, your base grapple recharge rate, your base weapon handling, and stats are going to increase as you fill your backpack with more items. So if you are a loot goblin and you like to have a whole lot of loot, those things are increasing along with that, which I think is a very cool addition. And while the abilities obviously matter, again, it's the cores for each runner shell that really take things to a different level. Here's a breakdown of some of the Thief's cores that are confirmed to actually be in the game. Greed is good as an enhanced core. When your backpack is completely full, your sprint speed and slide distance are increased. Hit and Run is a deluxe core. Striking a target with a melee or knife attack immediately after grappling hacks them and knocks random loot items from their backpack. Case the Joint is a superior one. Your X-ray visor has increased vision range. Partner in Crime is a prestige level. While not being piloted, your pickpocket drone periodically releases a pulse that pings nearby hostiles. There's a second grapple one, you can gain a second charge of your grapple device, and then there's a drone ping that causes your pickpocket drone to periodically ping nearby enemies while it's not being piloted. I think you can quickly see how this class is a looter's dream, but it also has a mini UAV of sorts that you're able to use, assuming you can acquire and keep the right cores here. The important part about Thief is not allowing yourself to become stationary by playing with the drone for too long, ensuring your squad really has your back, or you only spend a short amount of time using the drone, or you run the risk of getting attacked. If you focus on scanning routes, looting efficiently using your abilities, drone only when it's safe and grapple out early versus overstaying your welcome, this can be a nasty one. The best synergies for Thief will be Vandal, thanks to their ability to create distractions and really leverage movement, and Assassin to help ensure there's clean exits and to keep your enemy's vision at really a low level. In any class-based shooter, the meta class really feels like it can turn any fight into an unwinnable one for enemies. The Triage Runner Shell is all about sustaining and recovering and has some of the most underrated abilities in Marathon. If we take a look at Triage's abilities here, the prime ability is Capacitive Gauntlets. They activate an overcharge to send out tendrils shocking down enemies back to life, and they can also damage enemies. Your Tactical is a medic drone. You can send out a drone buddy equipped with a smiley face that hovers over you and your allies' shoulders, providing you with health and shields. Your traits are going to be Battery Overcharge and Shareware. Overcharge your gauntlets by making your weapons perform better. Battery weapons specifically EMP targets when you break enemy shields, which is a great addition. And any allies with medic drones following them get any consumables or heals that you use copied to them too, essentially turning them or healing them from a distance. I think that is one of the coolest abilities in the game, and it's sort of a passive one that you get. You can do massive boosts to your team simply by having that set up properly. Bungie has also revealed a handful of cores for Triage, so let's dive into the 4 that they've revealed so far. There's High Voltage, which is enhanced. Defeating hostiles affected by EMP reduces the cooldown of your next battery overcharge. Electron Recapture Sinks is deluxe. While your battery overcharge is active, defeating a hostile or downing a runner with a Volt weapon instantly restores a portion of the weapon's charge. No Good Deed is superior. You receive a burst of healing when your med drone attaches to a crew member. And there's Samaritan, which is a prestige rating. Sharing a consumable with your shareware.exe reduces the cooldown of your next med drone. I think to really shine as the Triage Runner Shell, you have to have an emphasis on team play. Playing this runner as a lone wolf is going to hurt your squad and do way more damage than you want it to do. If you focus on maintaining your drone uptime, keeping revives coming to keep the pressure on the enemy team, and force enemies into bad pushes by staying in close proximity of your teammates, I think you'll do well here. Your best runner synergies are going to be with Destroyer, as they'll be able to push forward while you keep the heals coming, and Recon, as they'll be able to give you all the intel you need to know how safe or in danger your teammates are. Triage really is a runner that lets you turn your teammates' mistakes into quick recoveries. Just when an enemy team thinks they have the upper hand, I really think that Triage can flip the scenario on its head. And the last runner shell we'll get into is Rook. When you play as any other runner that I've discussed so far, you will start the raid at the very beginning. But with Rook, however, you are going to join matches that are already in progress only. Playing as Rook, you can only enter a raid solo, and you cannot bring a loadout in with you either. Effectively, there's no real risk when you're running as Rook. It's a way to hop into a match risk-free to allow yourself to learn, try out things, or maybe just give back some of the loot that you probably lost in a recent raid. While there's not a lot that you're going to have as Rook, you do have a tactical ability, however, known as Blend. What this does is it activates a mask to blend in with UESC forces, which are the AI that you're ultimately fighting, making the AI think that you're one of them and not a hostile. Inherently, this is going to be a pretty ratty class, but it always starts the raid at a disadvantage since it has a starter kit, so there's your trade-off. I've already seen players say that they'll let Rooks live and refuse to shoot them, while other players are saying that it's on sight. Which way are you going to go? With all the runner shells defined, I just want to sum things up here. I've listed common playstyles and the runner shell that I think suits that playstyle the best. Aggressive players want to go after Destroyer. If you're a stealth player, you should go after Assassin. If you're about intel and being an in-game lead, Recon is your class. If you're a movement fiend, I think Vandal is the route for you. A loot goblin should definitely go with Thief. Team play oriented players, I think Triage will suit you well. If you are a ratty player, I think Rook is your jam. There's also zero doubt in my mind that there are going to be multiple moments where a class has a broken meta and people just queue in with 3 of the same runner shell. Look, 90% of the time, hopefully, it'll be more advantageous to run as a team of different runners to really maximize your effectiveness. We're talking pre-launch, of course, but these are the 3 team comps that I think will help you the best to dominate and extract a marathon early on. A team of Recon, Destroyer, and Triage gives you a great combination of balance and consistency. The second comp I have is Destroyer, Vandal, and Thief. This is really for groups that love a combination of pressure and getting that profit. And then lastly, Assassin, Recon, and Thief. This is for squads that want to control fights and really surprise opposing teams with stealth. The beauty of Marathon, though, is that there are lots of great combos out there, but I would love to hear what you think is a great trio that you would want to run as come launch time in the comments below. Marathon is not a game about picking the strongest class. It's really a game about picking a class that covers your group's weaknesses and leans into your specific strengths while also taking into account the map you're going to be playing on. You could choose wrong and the game will feel punishing, or if you paid attention to this video, you could choose right and watch it all finally click. Look, enjoy your time in Tau Ceti. You can watch another one of my videos right now, and I'll see you on the way down.